Happy Tuesday, guys. So today we're going to go ahead and do our worksheets for Tuesday. So they look like this. Again, they'll say 4.MD.5 at the top. And the page numbers we're going to be working on are 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So when we finish these today, we'll be finished with 4.MD.5. And then we'll be starting tomorrow with 4.MD.6. And we should get through all of 4.MD.6. Okay. So I've got a nice pen, big, bold writing selected, so hopefully you'll be able to see everything I'm writing. So we're going to start on page 5. Looks like this. Says circles, degrees, and fractional parts at the top. A circle can measure 360 degrees. So a circle has 360 degrees. We need to remember that. You can find the measure of the angle equivalent to each fractional part. So that just means you would write a fraction representing what the circle shows. So we're going to look at our example. It shows us, and I'm going to use a different color to color it in. So it shows us this circle. It has our 4 pieces, or our 4 slices. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we're going to write this as a fraction, we take our whole number of pieces, which is 4. And on top, our numerator is going to be how many pieces are colored in. So how many pieces do we have colored in here? 1. So our fraction would be 1/4. But now we need to find out how many degrees are in this 1/4. So by doing that, we take our total number the circle has, which is 360, and divide it by the number of parts. So it has 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you would divide it by 4 to find out how many each slice would be. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my area model. Okay, so I'm going to look at 36. What times 4 gets me 36? 9, so I'm going to put that above my 6. And then I have a 0, so I'm going to put it next to it. 9 times 4 is 36. 0 times 4 is 0. So we subtract that. We get 0. Put it in our box. I have 0, so I have 0 remainder. So each portion of this circle, these 4 slices, are 90 degrees. So this is 90 degrees, this one's 90 degrees, this one's 90 degrees, and this one is 90 degrees. Also, if we look at this circle, what kind of turn did it do? That's thinking about what we did yesterday. So did it do 1/4 a turn, 1/2 turn, 3/4 turn, or 1 whole turn? It has 1/4 of a turn because only 1 of the 4 pieces are shaded. So it's 1/4 turn. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at number 1 on page 5. I'm going to draw what it has. Put a number next to it so we know. Okay, so first I need to figure out my fraction. I'm going to start with my denominator. That means how many pieces are there total. We have 1, 2, 3. So my denominator is 3. And now I need to figure out my numerator, which would be how many pieces are shaded. How many pieces are shaded? 1. So our fraction is 1/3. Now we have to find out how much this piece is, how many degrees it has inside of it. So what I'm going to do is set up my area model. 3 on the outside. Inside goes the total number of degrees in a circle, which is, see if you remember, 360. Good. Okay, so I'm going to break my number into small pieces. It's easier to eat when we have smaller pieces. So how many times will 3 go into 3? 1. I'm going to fill in a 0 and a 0. So 1 times 3 is 3. 0 times 3, 0. 0 times 3, 0. Subtract it, and you get 60. So we're going to put 60 over here. Now, how many times will 3 go into 6? 2. And how many times will 3 go into 0? 0. 2 times 3 is 6. 0 times 3 is 0. So now I subtract it and I get 0. So my remainder is 0. But now I need to add my numbers up here together. And that would be 120. So this section right here is 120 degrees. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and look at number 2. If I'm going too fast, you can pause the video. That way you make sure you get down whatever you need to get, okay? Number 2. So I need to draw my circle. Okay, so now I'm going to do my fraction first. Let's count how many pieces I have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my denominator will be 8, and my numerator is how many pieces are completely shaded in. And that is 1. So our fraction is 1/8. So 1/8 of this circle is shaded. Now I need to figure out my degrees for this slice, this piece. So I will divide 8 into the total number of degrees in a circle, which is 360. Now what times 8 equals 36? Or what times 8 gets us close to 36? 4. And 4 times 8 is 32. And I need to, how many times will 8 go into 0? 0. So I'm going to put a 0 up here. And 0 times 8 is 0. Now subtract it. We have left 40 left over, so I need to put it in my next box. And how many times will 8 go into 40? 5. 5 times 8 is 40. Subtract it, 0. 0 is my remainder. And my degrees, 40 plus 5 is 45 degrees. So this slice is 45 degrees. Okay, number 3. On page 5, after number 3, I'm going to let you pause and work 4, 5, and 6. And then after a few minutes, I'll give you the answers so you can check what you have. So number 3. The circle's a little wonky. So we can fix that. That's about as good as it's going to get. Okay, so I need to color my piece in. There we go, that's a little bit better. Okay, so now I need to do my fraction. How many pieces are there total? We'll start out with the colored one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 pieces total. And how many are colored in? 1. So my fraction for this circle is 1/6. But now I need to calculate how many degrees are inside this slice of the circle. So again, I take my denominator, 6, divide it into the total number of degrees, which in a circle, which is 360. And now I'm going to divide. So I'm going to look at 36 first. 6 times what equals 36? Or gets you close to 36? 6 times what gets you 36 or close to 36? 6. Good. Put my 6 up here. 6 times 6 is 36. Now I'm left with a 0 here. How many times will 6 go into 0? 0. So I'm going to put that at the top. 0 times 6 is 0. So now I'm going to subtract it. 36 minus 36, 0. Put my 0 in the second box. 0 is my remainder. And my number of degrees is 60 degrees for this piece. Okay, what I want you to do now is pause the video, work 4, 5, and 6. When you have those completed, press play again so you can check your answers. I need you to actually do them. Have you paused the video to work on them yet? Okay, those of you that paused the video to complete 4, 5, and 6, thank you. Now we're going to check our answers. For number 4, we should have 1/10. And for degrees, you should have 36. Number 5, you should have 1/2 and 180 degrees. Number 6, you should have 1/5 and what should we have for our degrees? I'm going to work it over here. I also don't have it wrote down, so we'll work it out right quick together. So those of you that worked it out, you should already know. Those of you that didn't, we're still doing this one together. So 5 divided into the total number of degrees in a circle, which is what? 360. 5 goes into 36. How many times? 7. 7 times 5 is 35. How many times will 5 go into 0? 0. 0 times 5 is 0. Subtract. We have 10. How many times will 5 go into 10? 2. So for degrees, we should have 72. Okay, if you have questions on that page, please let me know. We're going to work number 6. We're moving on to page 6. Not number 6, page 6. Okay, this is very, very similar, except now we have multiple pieces. We have to find out the total number of degrees for all of those. So number 1. Here's our circle. I'm going to retry that. Oh, let me see if I can just have a circle. Oh no. That's too tiny. There we go. Okay, so now I need to color them in. I'm going to select a bigger one for this to color this in. I probably should have done this in another color, because now I'm going to need to redraw my circles so we can see where they were. There we go. That's about as good as it's going to get. Okay. So now we have to figure out our fraction. How many pieces do we have total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Put my 5 in the numerator spot instead of the denominators. 5. And how many are colored in? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have miscounted. I counted. Let's retry that. I'm on a roll right now. Okay, how many pieces do we have total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many pieces are colored in? 5. That's why I try to put it in the numerator spot, because it was the numerator. Okay, so now we have to figure out the number of degrees. So, that means I need to divide first. 6 divided by the total number of degrees in a circle, which is what? 360. And 6 times 36, or divided by 36, because that's what we're looking at. How many times will 6 go into 36? 6 times. 6 times 6 is 36. How many times will 6 go into 0? 0. 0 times 6 is 0. Subtract. Nothing left over. So for one slice, just one, is 60 degrees. But we have 5 that we have to get the degrees for. So what you do now, after you divide, is you're going to take your answer and multiply it by your numerator. So 60 times 5. 5 times 6 is 30. Good. And then I have my 0, so I'm going to move it over. So 60 times 5 is 300. So for all the way around here, that is 300 degrees. Okay, so we're going to look at number 2. There we go. So now I'm going to color it in. I'm going to use a highlighter. That way it doesn't go through. We'll highlight these. Okay, so now I've got to figure out my fraction. How many pieces are there total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So my denominator is 12. Now my numerator are the colored in pieces, and we have 1, 2. So that's my fraction, 2/12, 2 over 12. So now I need to do my degrees. So I'm going to say 12 divided by the total number of degrees in a circle, 360. 12 goes into 36. How many times? 3. 12 goes into 0. How many times? 0. 3 times 12 is 36. 0 times 12 is 0. Subtract it. So my answer is 30. But that's only for 1. I have 2. So again, I take my answer and multiply it by my numerator. So 30 times 2 equals 3 times 2 is 6. 0 times 2 is 0. So my total number of degrees for this circle is 60 degrees. Now we're going to look at number 3. Oh my goodness. Get my highlighter. Okay, so now I'm going to do my fraction. I have how many pieces total? 3. My numerator is how many pieces there are colored and how many pieces are colored. 2. So my fraction for this circle is 2/3. Now I need to figure out my degrees. Take my denominator, 3, divide it into the total number of degrees in a circle, which is 36. How many times will 3 go into 3? 1. Fill the rest in with zeros. 100 times 3 is 300. Subtract it and I have 60 left over. 3 goes into 6 how many times? 2. 3 goes into 0 how many times? 0. 2 times 3 is 6. 0 times 3 is 0. Subtract it, 0. Okay, so now I need to add my 100 plus 20, which would be 120. Am I finished? No. Now I have to multiply 120 by 2. Okay. What is, again, if you need to use your area model, you do that, okay? So 2 times 12 would be what? 24. 2 times 0 would be what? 0. So 120 times 2 is 240. So that is our number of degrees that are shaded in, 240. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little time to do 4, 5, and 6. So be sure to pause so you can do those. And I'm going to wait a few minutes to make sure that you pause. Okay, so hopefully you took this time to pause. So now we're going to go ahead and go over the answers for 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to write our fraction we should have first, 4 over 9. And then you should have 160 degrees. Number 5, 2 eighths, 90 degrees. Number 6, 3 fifths, 216 degrees. Again, if you have questions, be sure to contact me. Okay, so I want you to complete page 6 by yourself. On number 8, I'm going to do 2 from each section, and you need to complete the rest. We'll go over those tomorrow before we get started on tomorrow's worksheets. That way you know what you need to do. Okay? So, again, I'm not going over any on number 7. You need to complete that by yourself. That is going to be the same as page 5 and 6. And then we'll go over our answers tomorrow. And page 7, or not page 7, 7's the one you're doing by yourself. Page 8, I'm going to do a few from each section. And you will do the rest, and we'll go over those answers as well tomorrow. Okay, so page 8. And then I'm going to label them by section. So section 1. I'm going to look at number 1. Below are measures of an angle in degrees. Write the equivalent fractional part of the circle. So number 1 has 25 degrees, and I'm going to put that in a fraction. So it's 25 out of what? We know 25 is our numerator. How many degrees are in a circle? 360. So number 1 is 25 out of 360 because it's 25 degrees out of 360. Number 2, we have 132 degrees. That's 132 degrees out of how many degrees? How many degrees are in a circle? 360. So for number 2, you should have 132 over 360. Now you're going to do 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to look at number 6. An angle that measures 80-degree turns through how many 1-degree turns? How many 1-degree turns are in 80 degrees? How many 1 degree angles are in 80 degrees? So your answer would be 81 degree angles. And then you'll do number 7 on your own. Number 8 through 11. I'll do number 8. And number 9. Okay, so fraction of the circle. How many pieces do we have total? 4. How many are colored in? 1. 1/4. Now for our degrees, we say 4 into 360. 4 goes into 36 how many times? 9. 4 goes into 0 how many times? 0. So it's 90 degrees. 1/4 and 90 degrees. Number 9. Fraction of the circle is, so we have 6 total pieces. How many are colored in? 4. So we should have 4/6. And then we're going to divide 6 into 360. 6 goes into 36 6 times. 6 goes into 0 0 times. 6 times 6, 36. 0 times 6, 0. Subtract it, 0. So for one of the degrees, it would be 60. But we need to take 60 and multiply it by 4. 4 times 6 is what? 24. 4 times 0 is what? 0. So the total number of degrees for number 9 is 240 degrees. Okay, number 12 through 14. All you're doing is writing the total number of degrees. You're not even doing the fraction. So we'll do number 12. We have 2 out of 8. So I'm going to say 8 into 360. 8 goes into 36 4 times. 4 times 8 is 32. 8 goes into 0 0 times. 0 times 8 is 0. Subtract it. 0, 4, 0. 8 goes into 40 how many times? 5. So 45 times, how many pieces are shaded? 2. So 45 times 2 equals 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 5, 2 times 40 is 80. 2 times 5 is 10. So the total number of degrees on 12 is 90. If you have questions, be sure to reach out to me. Now we're going to look at page 9. So here we're estimating angle measures. We are not calculating them with our protractor, we're estimating. So let's look at number 1. These are not going to look that great, but you have your paper, so hopefully you're looking at that one. So this is the gist of what it looks like. Is this going to be an acute, right, or obtuse angle? It's an acute angle. And acute angles measure from what degrees? 1 to 89. So are there any options that we can mark out? I'm going to write them up here. We have A, 15, B, 40, C, 90, D, 140. Okay, so C is a right angle. That's not a right angle. I'm marking it out. D is 140. That's an obtuse angle. Marking it out. So I'm left with 15 or 14. Not 14. 15 or 40. Which one do we think that it is closer to? Which one should we have circled? B. We should have B circled. It's closer to 40 degrees. 15 would be very small. So 1, we should have B. Let's look at 2. Is that a right, acute, or an obtuse angle? It's a right angle, and right angles have what measurement? 90. So what should we have circled? D. Good job. Okay, number 3. Right, acute, or obtuse angle? Acute. So we're going to go ahead and mark out our answers that are not acute angles. C, that's an obtuse angle. Mark it out. D, an obtuse angle. Mark it out. So we're left with 15 or 70. That one's smaller than number 1, and number 1 was 40. So what would our answer be? A. Number 4. Okay, right, acute, or obtuse angle? Obtuse. So we're going to mark out our answers, choices that are not obtuse angles. A says 20. That's acute. Mark it out. B says 75. That's acute. Mark it out. C says 110. D says 160. 110 is not that far past 90. And 90 looks like, well, 90 looks like that. So which one do we think it's going to be? D. Good. 4 is D. 5. Acute, obtuse, or right? Obtuse. It's just past obtuse. So which one of those answer choices are obtuse? We have 35. 65. Bonk. Again, that's wrong. That's acute. C. 95. Yeah, that's obtuse. Just past right angle. D. 125. Yep, that's obtuse too. So which one of those is going to be? C. Good job. 6. Oh, never mind. Yeah. I thought I was going in the wrong order for a second. 6. Acute, obtuse, or right angle? Acute. So let's look at our answer choices. Which one of those can we mark out? C and D. So we're left with A, 30, B, 80. Which one is it going to be? B. Okay, number 7. Acute, obtuse, or right angle? Obtuse. So what answer choices can we get rid of? A, B, and C. So we're only left with D. So our answer is D. 8. Acute, obtuse, or right angle? Obtuse. So we can get rid of A and B. We're left with C or D. Which one is it going to be? So 175, a straight line or a straight angle has a measurement of 180 degrees. Is number 8 almost a straight angle? No. So it's going to be C. 9. Acute, obtuse, or right? Acute. So our options for acute at our numbers, we have A and B. Those are our options, 60 degrees or 80 degrees. 80 degrees is a little bit less than 90, which would be a right angle. So which one do you think it is? It is A. Good job. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to keep saying this because I absolutely want you to reach out to me and let me know. So what I need you to do, or what you have done by yourself, is you will do page 7, and we'll review it tomorrow before our next pages. And page 8, the ones that we did not answer, you'll do those as well, okay? And I will see you guys later.